So now we're going to hear another Engage story from Phil Hamlett, who's the director of the Graduate School of Graphic Design at the Academy of Art University. He's an AIGA National Board member and one of the founders of AIGA's Living Principles. Phil?
Did you like my theme music? Yeah, I wanted to come on to Def Leppard, but Katie Baker said no. Welcome to San Francisco, everybody. This is home to a lot of ideas about sustainability. Slide. Here we go. We have a lot of ideas about design and sustainability in the Bay Area. What I'd like to do for a moment is talk to you about making certain that you have a good idea. Okay. Doing so requires a willingness to examine what we mean by good design. Traditionally, we've applauded work that has been brilliantly conceived and flawlessly executed, right? But as of late, our work is being scrutinized in a way that digs a little bit deeper into our motivations, our intentions, and what good design means has a completely different set of connotations around it now. As a discipline, we're not alone in this regard. In the world of architecture, I'm guessing that scant attention was paid in the past to the selection of the urinals that populated your men's rooms. But in the future, or in the present, incorporating waterless urinals and gray water processing systems into your building's living system is a box that many architects would like to be able to check off. And that's provided, the motivation to do so is provided by LEED accreditation, the business metrics that surround that. But in the world of architecture, I don't mean to imply that it's easy, but those guys work with things that are tangible and concrete. So concrete that one of them is actually concrete, right? And as designers, as graphic designers or communication designers, our world revolves around intangibles. Okay, so increasingly, our work shows up on things like paper and on screens, substrates over which we have very little control. Okay, so the molecules associated with our profession are not really all that interesting, to be frank. So the intangible part is what's interesting. So we want a framework to account for sustainability that allows for that fact. Hence, the Living Principles. If you visit the website, which was created by Gabi Brink's team at Tamara Partners, who are here today in force, you'll find that explanation for some content, some context that I don't have time to go into today. But you'll see from rooting around here that it hopefully provides, in the same way that architects are to account for waterless urinals, in their work, we're to account for transparency in ours, right? So I'm guessing at this point in time, most of you, show of hands, how many people have been to the site? You're at least aware of the property, and that's good, that's great. But I'm guessing many of you, I'm also guessing that many of you have not actually put Living Principles into play in any kind of meaningful way. So I've entitled this presentation 2.0, and I'd like to talk for my remaining 90 seconds about ways that you might be able to engage with the property in a more meaningful fashion. There's a score system that we've created. You can see it on the site in the materials when you submit them for entry, but you can also download a scorecard that I use in classrooms to help students evaluate what it is, what do we mean exactly by exhibiting leadership along any individual principle within the context of any individual industry or initiative. And we fudge, we move this back and forth, and we disagree, and we never really arrive at a fixed point, but it at least provides us the context to have conversations, and as we advocate for the principles themselves, and as we put it back through this filter again and again, we arrive at more confident, we have more confidence in our design solutions ultimately. As we're doing this, we look alongside other business metrics and other certification schemes and all kinds of other places for justification for where we believe anybody is in that continuum. And so why do we bother? Well, a recent survey from Ernst & Young in conjunction with GreenBiz reveals that rankings and ratings matter to executives. That's the means by which they communicate success to their investors and to their various stakeholders. The same survey also reveals that the sustainability tools and the reporting structure surrounding them are in nascent form, so there's an opportunity here. But perhaps the most significant thing that the survey tells us is that 76% of the respondents feel that their core business, their core activities are in jeopardy due to the dwindling natural resources required to keep themselves going. So whether it's the fuel or the fish or the trees, we're shredding all the natural resources at our disposal at a much faster rate than they can be replenished, okay? So if business is our business, the nature of business is changing, and the means by which the business value that you've heard about today is going to be described is also changing as well. As designers, as a community, we have to be prepared for that. Some light reading, any fans? Okay. This book, seminal read, and one of the key passages that's guided a lot of my development as it relates to things I've done in conjunction with AIGA is this Reasons for Hope chapter, which is great, that you need the Reasons for Hope chapter, but an increasing diffusion of information through increasingly effective organizations like this one, like we're doing here. And the increasingly effective part is what I've been focused on of late. So you're going to hear about heads and hearts and hands, and that's wonderful, and I think that the shift in this conference programming, what was formerly a celebration of design's role as a lubricant for commercial activity, has changed significantly, and I think that as designers, we should be very happy about the idea that we're going to be much more effective if we can connect what we do to what the world wants, right? So I'm an educator, so there's homework, sorry. The homework should be turned into Rachel Martin. Rachel Martin has recently been installed as the new national director, so whatever it is that you've got that you'd like to share with her, please do so. You can find her on the site. Last on this list is a special plea to come back to San Francisco in March. The Spear Through the Heart moment that Gabi Brink described earlier occurred at an event called Compost Modern. The next iteration of that will be in March of 2013. It's an excuse for you guys to come back, and we'll explore exactly how resilience and it means for how that accounts for a better collective vision of our future. So hope to see everybody then. Cheers.